Alright, chat, we're gonna watch The Most Incompetent King. I'm actually a fan of Greymane, but I get the message that Greymane is a bad king, so we're gonna watch this to see what kind of a king he is, okay?
Another character. Hello.
For the longest time, the only thing we knew about Gilneas was the impenetrable wall that blocked them off from the rest of the outside world. But during the Cataclysm, their defenses crumbled, and it was clear that within the secluded kingdom, it was not always sunshine and rainbows. Gilneas' downfall was not a sudden collapse like some might think. The root of the kingdom's problem was a slow deterioration because of their king and his more than questionable decisions.
No, I paused the teacher. I'll unpause it after the video.
Our story begins with the human kingdoms prospering greatly. The Empire of Arathor had evolved into multiple city-states that flourished into their own separate kingdoms, who dominate a good chunk of the continent. In its prime, the land owned by Gilneas was much larger than we know today. They held control over parts of Silverpine Forest, Hillsbrad Foothills, and even an island called Zoldair, a mysterious place we still haven't seen to this day in-game. But I'm getting off track. Huh? Point is, everybody's doing great. Until there was 7
massive
foot tall roided up orcs from another world that poured out of the dark portal. This overwhelming alien threat rampaged up north and left Stormwind City in rubble. If this threat wasn't managed, these otherworldly savages would be on the other kingdom's doorstep next. With great haste, King Tyrannus Menethil met with Anduin Lothar and organized a meeting with all of the other human kingdoms so they could band together.
Lothar
King
was my
Tyrannus
favorite.
pleaded for the aid of the other kingdoms, and a good majority of them helped without question. This included the kingdoms like Kul Tiras, Stromgarn, Dalaran, Alterac, and Gilneas. Sort of. Gen Greymane heeded the advice of his 2 advisors. One was Lord Darius Crowley, and the other was Lord Vincent Godfrey. There was also this guy named Baron Ashbury, but he literally did nothing, so I'm just not going to include him. Darius was enthusiastic about the Gilnean military.
Play Warcraft 2. I have Warcraft 2. I have 3 CDs of it. Me, my brothers, we would always play that.
Lending aid to their sister nations.
I beat that
It would
game
give
like
them a
10
tight
times.
bond with the other kingdoms, and they would grow together. But Lord Vincent Godfrey, he had other plans. He felt like Darius was a bit too optimistic and instead suggested that they only send a very small token force of soldiers to help. Now, despite Gen's boasting of how he had the strongest military in all of the Eastern Kingdoms, he wasn't too thrilled about dealing with other people's problems, so he took the advice from Godfrey and only sent a small fraction of support to help the alliance of Lordaeron. Oh, come on, Gen. Maybe you can just help out a little bit more. No. Lord Greymane, please, maybe a... Nope. How about you... Despite Gen's unwillingness to cooperate, the humans win the Second War and push the orcs back into the Dark Portal. But Gen still was not happy. During the war, one of the kings that was a part of the alliance betrayed them, confirming Gen's distaste for helping others. Also, Gilnean taxpayers had to fork up the gold to pay for orc internment camps and the construction of Netherguard Keep. Lord Greymane started to question why he even joined the alliance in the first place. The only thing that had happened since he joined was he lost a bunch of gold and ended up with a bunch of dead Gilneans. So Lord Greymane pulled out of the alliance and focused on securing his kingdom's isolation. Deep within Lord Greymane's manor, he had an epiphany. what better way to isolate his kingdom than building a giant wall? Now, one would think the reasonable thing to do would be to build a wall around all of the land owned by Gilneas. Now, the thing is, building a wall that big would take a ridiculous amount of gold and resources.
Impossible!
It was Lord Godfrey's suggestion that the wall be built into the mountainside instead. This would make the wall cheaper and more practical since it used the natural land to their advantage. The problem is that they would be blocking off a good chunk of their citizens from the rest of their kingdom, effectively abandoning them in the process. But these lands that they would be cutting off were owned by Darius Crowley, that Alliance sympathizer. But, you know, that's okay. Gen was confident that Crowley would understand his reasoning. Crowley did not understand his reasoning. In fact, he was pretty pissed, and so were the people of Briarwood Village, the town that was blocked off from the rest of Gilnean society.
Oi! Stop throwing rocks at me!
Oi! Piss off!
There you go.
Despite the resistance, the wall was eventually constructed. Tensions between Crowley and Gen were incredibly high, but they were able to maintain their differences. But this barely maintained peace would not last for long. While Gilneas was on the cusp of a civil war, the Scourge was busy invading the lands of Lordaeron to the north. As the kingdom crumbled to the might of the Plague of Undeath, they begged Gilneas for aid. And the people who once
I would hate to live in Azeroth, dude. It just gets invaded by everything all the time.
called themselves proud
Unless you're a
Gilneans
hero, then you're
pounded
strong.
on the wall,
If you're a citizen, not
hoping
fun.
that the king they trusted would give them salvation. But the only response they received was silence.
Shoot to kill!
That was a great transition. Yo, babe.
Bloody hell! If I knew the Scourge would invade, I would have planned accordingly. Whatever tricks you have up your sleeve, they better work.
Tricks? Oh, no, no, no. My creatures are not mere tricks. I prefer the term very good boys.
I don't know what you mean, they're just dogs. Surely they can't. Ah!
Oh, Gin, I must warn you. These creatures have an unsatiable bloodlust. Once they are released, there is no turning.
Oh, we saw the
back.
ball on the screen?
To be frank with you, Archmage, I have no choice. You are my last bastion of hope, Harugal, and I will see it done.
Whatever you wish, my lord.
At the king's discretion, Archmage Arugal unleashed the power of the Worgen on the Scourge, summoning them from an unknown realm he did not truly understand.
Go, attack my pet.
Oh, they're not from here?
Yes, who's a good boy? Slash them to bits.
Arugal knew the Worgen were ferocious, but he underestimated how bloodthirsty they really were, and once all the Scourge were defeated, the Worgen's ferocity was aimed towards the remaining citizens of Briarwood Village.
Bad dog, no! Stop this instant!
Arugal was driven mad with grief as the Worgens killed or infected the remaining survivors with the curse, and he just gave up and spent the rest of his days crying in Shadowfang Keep with his Worgen that he now called his children.
Oh, I am so sad.
Is this the actual lore he's making this up? Where he's crying like this?
Oh, thank you, my son.
No way. There's
As
actors of
chaos
the lore,
reigned
really?
beyond the wall, tensions exploded within Gilneas when citizens found out about the innocents that were caught in the crossfire. And in an act of defiance, Darius sent a small group of Gilnean soldiers to help with the alliance in the Third War without the approval of King Greymane. Greymane was livid at Darius's careless decision and considered it an act of treason. This outrage sparked an uprising within the city. An organization called the Northgate Rebels started to form, and Darius Crowley was their leader. They revolted against their king and his tyranny. This was the breaking point that spiraled Gilneas into a full-blown civil war. One side was the rebels, that was led by Darius, and the other was the loyalists, that sided with their king. Blood was shed on the streets of the city, and the climax of the conflict was when Darius and his rebels smuggled in heavy artillery into Gilneas with plans of leveling the city if it came to it. Unfortunately, the remaining rebels, including Darius, were captured before they could even use their firepower and were thrown in the stone-walled prison.
Wait, is Darius still alive in the game?
You to unhand me this instant. Damn it, Gen. Do you not understand? This is your doing. You cannot pretend like the outside world doesn't exist. You've killed your own people in this pointless escapade for independence, and it will only get worse.
I do what I must to keep Gilneas safe. You cannot say the same, Crowley.
This is ridiculous! The Gilneans people's blood is on your hands, Gen. Gen? Are you listening?
La 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 la, I cannot hear you.
You paid.
That's not part of the lore, too.
For a small amount of time, Gilneas had much needed peace, but the curse that doomed the lands beyond the wall had found itself within.
Oh, you know what? You guys are great. No, you're great. Oh, cheers, lads.
Very nice people. Oh, shit.
Why, hello there, you little pup. Come on, don't be shy. Come here. Come on, let me give you a good old.
Once again, tensions began to rise within Gilneas,
His ribs are out, too. Yo, blind witness, thank you for the 17-month appreciated,
but for
man.
much more horrifying reasons.
Thank
Murders labeled as the Starlight Slasher killings left Gilnean people in horror. And at first, people assumed these murders were committed by the Northgate Rebellion, but there too was whispers that the murders were performed by a mysterious cult that willingly submitted themselves to the Worgen curse.
Would you take that power, Chad, if you could turn into a werewolf?
Oh, shut up.
Gen refused to admit that the Worgen had reached the wall. It would only lead to utter chaos within the city. He wanted to hide the truth from his people. But there was no denying the curse had infected the city. Gen made the grave mistake of letting in injured Gilnean guards that fought the Worgen outside of the wall, and now this bizarre rumor of a cult was emerging. Things were getting out of hand, and if Gen wanted to fix the problems he got himself into, he'd have to handle it himself.
Oh, shit.
It was a common occurrence. Greymane and his closest noble allies would organize hunting parties on every full moon, culling the Worgen population for sport and for vengeance.
Greymane, have a gander at this beast. I reckon you should join us in a group photo.
No, this one's mine.
Suit yourself.
He went alone?
Come on, you beast. I helped bring you into this world, and I will take you out of it.
Are you into furries?
Bro, there's no way that's...
Are you into furries?
What?
I'm not real lord, dude. This is...
Lord, Greymane, are you alright?
I need to patch myself up before they find me.
Oh, shit.
Much better. Ah, there you are, my lord. Did he touch ya? I'm fine. Just bastard almost got me. But he didn't lay a scratch on me, that's for sure. Blimey, I'm glad you're safe, my lord. Would have to shoot you on sight if that bloody beast got a bite on you. Yeah, right.
Now infected with the curse, Greymane frequently hides away in his
Raymond is just selfish and brain dead? Okay. They only did that because they wanted to add him in the lore. I don't think he was in Warcraft 2 ever. Like, they had to introduce him somehow, so they're like, okay, this king was like an isolated guy, that's why you guys never saw him before. And then
observatory,
they made
where
this
everything
up to
going
make
on
him
what he
look
now
bad,
deemed
okay?
as pointless and
He makes it up though, isn't he? A good, like, he's a good ally in the future expansions, correct?
dangerous hunts. Things were looking grim for Greymane until a surprising new ally appeared on the horizon. Night elves from a far distant land traveled to Gilneas to help them with the Worgen. The ancient curse was ultimately their doing thousands and thousands of years ago, so they deemed themselves responsible for this plight. One night elf in particular was named Belisra, and she helped fight back Greymane's affliction in secret. Not even the nobles, Gen's children, or his own wife knew about this partnership with Belisra. And I know what you're thinking, no, it was a strictly business relationship. She just shot the power of the moon at him. And that's not an innuendo, she literally did that.
How about we
I
read
cannot
the
thank
comments?
you elves enough.
Perhaps with your aid, Gilneas can be brought to salvation, and my people can be free once more. Whatever it takes, Lord Greymane. The Calderai. My lord, the city of Gilneas is under siege by the beasts. I'm talking bloody hundreds of them. I can't believe my eyes. You must come quick.
This video is painting a bad picture of Greymane, chat.
My city! I need my people evacuated this instant.
Hey, so I'm kind of having second thoughts about this whole helping humans thing.
Watch the second part.
Previously on Gilnean history, King
Can I put this away real fast? One sec. Alright, we're back. What's up, the Thoric?
Greymane left the Alliance and built a giant wall to lock off his kingdom away from the outside world. When the Scourge invaded and attacked the lands of his people that were outside of the wall, he helped by unleashing the Worgen, who killed all the undead and then his own people. A civil war exploded within Gilneas, and now the Worgen curse has breached the city and his own people's sanity. Before we discover the fate of Greymane and his city that hangs in the balance, here's a very quick word from today's sponsor.
Okay.
Are you balding? Thankfully, the sponsor of today's video has got your back, or the top of your head. Today's sponsor is Keeps. Finally, a solution for fighting back male pattern baldness in the easiest way possible.
Look at the top of his head!
Wow.
It doesn't matter how lazy you are, Keeps offers you the easiest access to hair loss treatment delivered to your front door, plus online doctor consultation to make sure you can keep those luscious locks till the end of time. Keeps is all about prevention, so the sooner you start using the product, the more hair you can save. So the point is, the faster you act, the better. When you use Keeps, you'll find out why it has more 5-star reviews than any other product, and why thousands of men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/platinum, or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/platinum.
Geesty.
The ad is over.
If I missed it. Wait, so somebody in the town is unleashing them?
I want the perimeter secured and the gates manned by 2 guards at all times. No one gets in, no one gets out. We protected Gilneas from the Scourge. We protected Gilneas during the Northgate Rebellion. We will protect Gilneas from whatever this new threat may be.
When the Worgen wave first consumed the city, the original plan was to just quarantine the sections of the city and keep the Worgen contained.
Oi, you! You got a license for being outside?
Oh
It
shit!
didn't work. Gilneas was still in a weakened state from the Civil War, so their defenses were rather insignificant. The plan quickly changed. No longer was this a quarantine. This was an evacuation. And if Greymane wanted his people to escape, he needed all the help he could get. And that meant recruiting an old ally. Crowley! The Worgen! They've breached the city!
No way!
I know we have not
No
been on the best
way.
of terms, me throwing you in jail and all, but we have been allies in the past. Friends, even. Just look, I'm here to say
No
sorry.
way,
and
this is real, dude. Yo, Kesey, thank you again, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
please help us. Oh my goodness.
You know, Gin.
What did
Help
you do?
us. Oh my goodness.
What was that?
You know, Gin. During the Civil War, I was labeled as a monster, a terrorist, even, all for trying to defend my people from your tyranny. What I do today is not for you. It is to restore the people's
Damn,
faith
this guy's a
in the
Giga
Crown
Chad.
name.
Hey, wait up.
I have cannons stashed away in the military district. We'll hold up in the cathedral, grab
Dude,
their
this guy's
attention,
a
and
Giga.
the rest of our people can flee.
Wait, you have cannons in my city? And so, Darius was
Holy
released from prison to fight for Gilneas once
shit.
more. And he and the player character got into fistfights with feral wolfmen on top of the prison,
Oh, she's
recovered the smuggled cannons that were originally supposed to be used for the Civil War, and traveled to the cathedral to blast away as many Worgens as they could. Unfortunately, Darius and his men were later overrun by the Worgen, and their status is unknown.
Oh, I didn't even remember that cutscene. Wait, does he die, chat? What happens to him?
But Darius Crowley's sacrifice was not in vain. The citizens that fled the sacked capital with their king
Wait, he
found
dies?
solace in a nearby coastal town called Duskhaven. Here, they would get their bearings and organize their next steps in controlling this curse. During their time in Duskhaven, a breakthrough was discovered. Krenin, master alchemist, brewed an incredible serum to combat the Worgen curse. The potion did not revert the curse, but it merely restrained their bloodthirsty tendencies. In theory, cursed citizens would still retain their shreds of humanity if they drank the serum. But this was quite the controversial decision to make. People like Lord Vincent Godfrey had nothing but hatred for the Worgen. Fighting alongside the very creatures that destroyed their city was not a gamble he was willing to take. the fact of the matter was, they didn't really have much of an option. A sizable portion of their population was already marked with the curse. Wounds inflicted by the worgen slowly morphed over time. The skin around the bite marks would turn a sickly black and blue, and by the end, tufts of thick hair would be growing around the edge.
I don't feel so good.
By the king, another one's turning. Get the restraints.
Oh shit.
Oh, come on, just take the potion. Just put it in your. Come on.
Give it up, Krenin. It's time to put this one down. It's protocol.
Tell me, Godfrey, when Crowley and his men stayed in the city so that we could live, were they following protocol? I didn't think so. Hand me that potion, Krenin, and double the dosage. Open wide, you
shit.
furry bastard.
Please, don't hurt me.
Although the serum was not a perfect solution to the curse, it worked for now, but somehow, some way, things got worse for the Gilnean people.
Oh, this is the worst timing.
Once again, undead monstrosities organized another assault, but this time it was different. These undead fought under the Horde banner, and when they caught word that Gilneas was crippled by the worgen, they decided to strike.
For the Forsaken!
Oh shit.
The irony of the situation was a lot of the Forsaken that were attacking were originally citizens of Lordaeron. You know, the city Gen refused to help and hid behind his wall when the Scourge originally invaded. The Forsaken war machine.
I don't get that part of the WoW, by the way. So, these guys are Alliance once, right? And they still have the memory of being a human in the past, correct? Is that correct, chat? He basically died. Correct. Okay. Then let's say you live in Stormwind and your family died, but they show up as undead. Will you not still accept them? I feel like you would still accept them, right? And they could be allies. But I guess for the lore's sake or to faction base it, they make them enemies. Alliance doesn't want to take them in. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's just a game though, man. It's just a game. That's why. Realistically, I don't think that would happen. I don't think that would happen.
invaded the Gilnean lands from the coast, and they were met with meddling defense. But what came next was a blessing, but a curse. A truly random and extremely unlucky event for both sides.
A tsunami?
This Forsaken
There were quests where human families were scared of their undead's family member. Are you taking a chance if your zombie grandpa eats your children's brain? I mean, they're not like the mind controlled anymore though, right? They're free. They're free. They're not being controlled. They have their own mind and they can control themselves.
invasion was done during the Cataclysm, so far off on a whole different part of
But they still like brain. It doesn't matter. Undead is undead to Alliance. Nah, it's just a game, Lord Chat.
Azeroth. There's a giant dragon that set off a bunch of natural disasters all over the world. Point is, the southwest part of Gilneas was collapsing into the ocean, leaving both sides to suffer a tragic, murky death.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
But that was the least of their problems. The Cataclysm also busted the Greymane Wall wide open, letting the Forsaken pour into Gilneas.
Would you trust Rotten Corpse saying, okay, Then explain this to me. You would accept this in the Horde? Yeah, nice little bro. I did the quest. That quest sucked ass. Doesn't make sense. Shut your fucking ass up. This is all made up stories, okay? It doesn't make sense, chat. There should be like undead humans. Kind of like, who is it? Is it Artis's sister, chat? Who's the milady undead lady? Like, they're good people. It's stupid, man. It's just in-game lore fantasy, okay? Kalia, exactly.
And they quickly took the city.
It's just made up stuff, man.
What the frick?
Okay, good example is Argent Crusade. Argent Crusade has every faction, right? Orc, human, undead, they have it all. They have undead soldiers, right, in Argent Crusade? Yeah, there's undead guards, right? Argent Crusade is factionless. Exactly. My point is proven. They're good people. They're not eating brains. It's accepted. Yes. I always said in the past that we should be able to arena and RPG together, Horde and Alliance. And people are like, no. And now they let them do it. They're like, yeah, let's do it. It's weird how this works, man. I also said that it would be cool if we could have like a middle faction Argent Crusade where you could play Horde and Alliance. But now you can play with each other. So it doesn't really matter. But lore-wise, I think it's kind of dumb how the undeads have their minds still, but they can't hang out with their families. I think that's stupid, man. At the end of the day, we're fighting over a video game lore.
Godfrey, how can we be this unlucky? Round up the refugees. We need to move.
So once again, the refugees and their king found themselves looking for a place of solace once again. They hastily packed their things and retreated to another town called Stormglen, where they could lay low to plan their next steps.
Okay, I can agree Greymane sucks, but this is just bad writing. I think is it Darian, the guy with the eye patch? I think that guy's way cooler. They aren't people, that's the point. What are you talking about, man? I could literally pop WoW on right now, make an undead, and I'm free. Like, I could control myself. I'm not gonna eat brain and shit. Because what we have the will of the Forsaken. Like, we're not in mind control anymore. What are we pretending here for, man? You might. I've never eaten a brain. It's a game show. No, there's stupid people in the chat saying, oh, you can't. Dude.
Since the change,
Argent Dawn people, man.
My meat rare now. Raw, even. Perhaps struggling. Bit of a blunder there.
Nearby Stormglen, there was a dark forest called the Blackwall. If you remember from part 1, this was the location where Greymane was first bit by a worgen, and now it's the place where the Night Elves reside, who came to help the humans with the curse. Some of the first worgen to be helped were actually Darius Crowley and his followers, who now walked as worgen. After their sacrifice in the city, it seemed they somehow managed to escape.
Very true.
And you can tell it's Darius because of the eye patch. Point is, the Night Elves came to help because of their complicated history with the worgen. The curse was originally an ancient druid form that embodied the great spirit Gold.
DK's killed innocent people. They're just walking around on life's ground. They're afraid of them sometimes. Bonus yee. Dude, I could go in deep with this, man. It doesn't make sense, okay?
The druids that shifted into this form became blood-crazed and began hunting friend and foe. These druids attempted to control the curse, but instead fell into madness and became the first ever worgen. Archdruid Malfurion took it upon himself to banish these crazed druids into the Emerald Dream. Thousands of years later, the worgen were summoned back to Azeroth in order to hunt once again.
The worgen curse affects some worse than others. Goldrin's rage is not easily subdued. I have spent much time and effort in search of a way to cure it. Let us begin. But be warned, the spirits that accompany Goldrin may not take kindly to our intrusion.
The Ritual of Balance was a way to control the curse, and it must be overseen by the Worgen's pack. During the ritual, one must drink from 3 moon wells. The Well of Tranquility was to rekindle peace. The Well of Balance was to strike harmony between the human and Worgen spirit. And lastly, the Well of Fury was to build one's strength. Finally, one must suffer through intense visions of their past, forced to confront their doubt and fears, anchors that weigh them down. If unsuccessful, they will be driven to madness.
This is a jailer's plan. No, it wasn't, man.
How does a Tauren hide in a cherry? He paints his hooves red.
Oh, he did it.
Huzzah!
With the ritual successful, the Gilneans could freely shift from Worgen to human forms, but they will forever live with the lasting effects of the curse.
Crowley, you and your elven allies are hereby ordered to serve along the king's army. Cursed or not, you are still bound by Gilnean law.
Does this tome speak for you, Gen? Do you come dwelling as a friend, or do you come as a tyrant?
No, old friend. I come to you as an equal.
Oh, shit.
Aye, Gen. It is not law that binds us. It is something far stronger. We can both relate to that awkward feeling when, like, you're at a fancy party and you accidentally spill wine on your coat, you get angry, and you turn to a Worgen, and everyone's, like, kind of shocked, and it's really awkward, and then you, like, turn back into a human, but now your clothes are ripped, and it's like, okay, well, I'm at a fancy party, like, what the hell do I do now? Yeah, no, that sucks, man, I feel ya.
What is this?
Yeah. Yep. It is decided then. We will unite all Gilneans and drive the Forsaken from our lands.
And, could you get me some spare clothes or something before we leave? Oh, hello, Godfrey. Sorry for the wait. Just needed to get my suit tailored. You know, just Worgen things. So, let's go save our... Whoa! Hey, you can't just point the gun at... Ah! Someone, help! Godfrey has kidnapped the king! Godfrey was a lord who had nothing but hatred for the Worgen, so when he found out his own king was one of these wretched...
That's you dead inside.
monsters, he decided to take matters into his own hands. The plan was to hold Greymane captive and use him to negotiate with the Forsaken and save Gilneas, which was a incredibly dumb plan because, what are they going to do with Greymane? The Forsaken aren't here just to kill the king, they're here for the land and to turn everybody into undead. At this point in time, Greymane isn't a part of the Alliance, so like the Forsaken couldn't use him for leverage to get anything else. If anything, Godfrey would just hand Greymane over to the undead, they'd say thanks, they'd kill Greymane, and then they'd kill everybody else. Godfrey is just making it easier for the Forsaken to win at this point. The funny thing is when the player character frees Greymane and Godfrey's caught, Blizzard put as much effort into his death as Godfrey did his plan. So not a lot.
No, I'd sooner die than have one of your kind for a king.
Wait, this guy jumps off? What the fuck? Oh, he didn't die! It was in the game? Wait, they took it out?
On the eastern side of the city, the survivors rallied together. The curse that once wreaked chaos among Gilneas was now embraced and used as a weapon against the Forsaken. No longer would they hide away on the edges of their lands. It was time to retake what was theirs. Gen's son, Liam Greymane, led the charge.
The Forsaken think we are weak, a broken people. They think we'll roll over like a scared dog. How wrong they are! We will fight them in the fields until the last trench collapses and the last cannon is silenced. We will fight them on the streets until the last shot is fired. And when there is no more ammunition, we'll crush their skulls with the stones that pave our city. We will fight them in the alleys until our knuckles are skinned and bloody and our rapiers lay on the ground shattered. And if we find ourselves surrounded and disarmed, wounded and without hope, we will lift our heads in defiance and spit in their faces.
Damn.
But we will never surrender!
What a speech, man! Damn! Oh shit! It's demon time! Oh shit, dude! He's actually demon time walking!
Enough!
Oh shit! No! Oh shit, dude!
Liam! No!
Such a waste! That arrow's poison was not meant to be spent on your whelp. We will meet again.
Damn!
We did it, Father. We took back our city.
It's pretty sad.
Took back.
My lord, Horde reinforcements are coming quickly. We need to retreat.
Damn.
May the light bless the spirits of our ancestors, for they have chosen to allow my son to rest upon this holy ground. It is here, surrounded by the heroes and patriots of Gilneas, where he belongs. We'll return, Liam. I swear this to you.
My lord,
It's pretty
we must...
sad.
Oh, by the light. Oh, put some clothes on. What? I'm a worgen for light's sake. I have a perfectly valid excuse. Fine. Just please. We need to leave with the night elves before the Forsaken catch on to us.
And so, Greymane and the Gilnean refugees lost the battle, and were forced to flee
Wait,
their
they lose? They don't have the city?
homelands, which were now scarred with blight. Greymane had lost a great deal.
What?
His friends, his kingdom, his own son, and most of his wardrobe. But this was not the end of Gilneas, but merely another chapter. The Night Elves had shown them a bright light. Perhaps having a thriving kingdom on Azeroth does not mean forcing extreme isolation. Perhaps it is through an alliance with others, the Gilneans,
Oh, I didn't know they were. I thought they got it back.
one day retake their homelands.
Let's hurry up with the story, man. How many years has it been?
It does not matter what hardships the Gilneans face in the future. They are a resilient people who have learned to adapt to their environment. The Gilneans have suffered greatly, but against all odds, Gilneas will prevail.
Damn, that was a good video. I'll share it with you guys.